What's going on, guys? Welcome to, we gotta come up with a name for this, the car view, outer perspective from a car's view, like something, you know what I mean?
I'm not good with coming up with names.
I'll come up with something. Maybe you guys could come up with something, but we're driving, we're on our way to the gym. We figured we film something cool, as far as maybe some of you guys have seen some of the things I put on YouTube. This is also obviously going to be on YouTube. Chances are you're also watching it on YouTube right now if you are watching it. And if you are watching it, thank you so much for watching it. But yeah, we wanted to do something cool and different. And if you didn't know, Charles and I, if you don't know who Charles is my manager, slash BFF. We grew up together and he manages the project. But we also, if you didn't know, are huge car guys. You call us like gearheads?
The biggest.
Yeah.
The hugest.
The biggest.
The most huge.
Yeah, we're huge cars. Like anything that has to do with cars, you look at them like, oh my gosh, you know, it's like those kids that you see, oh my gosh, you know, that's us to a T with everything. So we're driving. I just got this car. This is a 720S for anybody that knows about cars or anybody that doesn't know about cars. It's a McLaren 720S. Absolutely in love with it, but I've had it for maybe almost a month now, and yeah, it's wild.
I feel like it would be cool to talk about the process of going to purchase it, like that whole experience. 'Cause I don't know how much you've really shared about that process, but just like going to the place, like going down the elevator, like being in the showroom, talking to Lewis.
Yeah, so when I went to go pick it up, I actually walked there, and the reason that I walked there was more of like a full circle moment for me. And yeah, because I didn't used to have a car. The first car I ever had was a 95 Volkswagen Jetta. That was the first car I ever had. And yeah, when I moved out to California, when I started making music, I either walked everywhere or rode my bike until one day I was hit on my bike, which took out my bike, and then I had to walk everywhere. So being a car guy, manifesting these things has always been like, oh my gosh, like I can't wait. It was never, oh, I wish I could get something like that, or why do other people get something? It was always, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, and I can't wait. And I should just live in that feeling, whether I was walking, or especially when I was walking, when I used to ride my bike, it sounds silly, but it would just be like, you know, as fast as I could go. Not that I condone speeding or that we're even going to speed on here. Not that you'd be able to see at least, but I just, you know, just like this feeling, I would just imagine that. And even when I was walking, especially, I'd always imagine that I was walking to my car, you know? So it was just something that I would trick myself. So full circle, which like to answer Chaz's question, what the experience was like, I walked to the dealer, which this specific car is like such, it's a tricky find as far as finding the spec that for sure I wanted, but also that was just taken care of in low miles and one owner. And it just so happened, the universe is wild, it just so happened to be like right down the street. Like you can't make that stuff up. And yeah, I walked there, and it's funny because some of you guys know I worked at a car wash for a while when I moved out to California, and I walked past a car wash on the way to the dealer that I always used to manifest and wash a lot of these cars in California. And it was just this crazy full circle moment. Well, I'll post it one time. I filmed the whole process, so I'll post it. And maybe I could post it in here, but probably not. I'm gonna just take this clip and then overlay it eventually. Yeah. But yeah, man, I mean, it's wild. Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, what's been your experience so far, just kind of like feeling wise, since you've had it?
A lot of emotions, and that's a big part of why I got it as well. You know, we spoke about that. A big reason why I got it is when we went to go. So first, before I got this, Chaz and I have always been talking. Oh, you know, especially out in California, we should rent some supercars. And my thing with that, I never really pushed for it because I'm like, oh, if I already know that that's what I want, like I already feel it. You know, I'm gonna lose my mind if I go and drive one.
Yeah.
But whatever, perfect timing, the universe presented itself, and that was the first time we went to go do it, and we did it, and I lost my mind. Especially driving, which is so crazy because for me it was always like a Lamborghini. And this, just as far as like the next move, wasn't in like my picture. Not that I couldn't have manifested or wanted it, but right when I got inside this, I was like, oh, I felt like a kid, you know? I was like, oh no way.
It is super surreal. And then just to give like a little more context to that, so down here in the Miami area, we reached out to a place that had both of the cars that you were potentially considering.
Yeah.
So you were looking at the McLaren 720S, and then you were also looking at Lamborghini Huracan, right? Like those are your two options. And then to give a little more context for people that may not know, like you've been really big into manifestation, and I remember like over 10 years ago, you having like a Huracan like on your like desktop wallpaper like every day, and you'd be like, it's mine, like I'm gonna get it. And then like thanks to everyone here supporting us so much, and us being in a position now where it's like, oh, it's like now it's time to like it's here, you know? So then like when considering which car to get, it just kind of made sense to just sort of test drive either one. I had never been in either a Lambo or a McLaren until that day. So we rented both of those. So we rented a Huracan, we rented a 720, and we took turns driving each of them. And it was a super surreal experience. And I think about it a lot, actually. I think about it, part of my daily practice is thinking of 3 things that I'm grateful for. Yeah, just kind of bringing that gratitude and that feeling in. So I almost think about it every day, just like me and you driving on the highways down here in the Miami area, just like each in those cars, and just like that feeling of that like inner child. And I feel like I've been reflecting a lot on that inner child, that younger version of me that's like so proud of where I'm at now. And this is what I knew that we deserved, you know, and so much of it has...
And that's a process, that's a journey in itself, the deserving and worth it.
Yeah, feeling like you're worth it. And then so much of it coming kind of from the universe, but like the more that we help people and the more like positivity that we put out there and all the messaging and everything that we're doing. But as far as when you say you lost your mind when we were renting the cars, kind of witnessing you, it was a pretty powerful experience, I would say, for sure. Like you could tell that it was just like a lot of feeling, a lot of emotion. I was also with my wife, Lauren. Your mom was with us at the time, and we were like driving, you know, up the coast. We drove from like Boca to Del Rey, and it was like nighttime, and we dropped the top in the Huracan, and there's like the moon was out, and there was mansions, and it was just like a very surreal experience all around. But I remember we pulled up, and I remember your eyes were just like so open, almost like in disbelief, you know, just like this is, and I'd be curious if you can kind of tap back into that a little bit, because I think you just verbalized it as, I kind of lost my mind, but I don't know if you've reflected on that at all, or like kind of really like what was going on in that moment or how you were feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where, I mean, we talked about this last night, like privately, it's like that 10 years of overnight success. That's what really overnight success is. And for sure, you maybe hear the 1 or 2 stories where it's like someone just literally had overnight success, but I also kind of feel bad for people that do. That's awesome. I'm happy for those people. But at the same time, you will never, I don't care, you will never have that appreciation comparatively to going through the grind and knowing what it's like and then really working for it. The appreciation you have for not that thing, just the journey of it is so much more grand than just getting something. It is. And I think that like experiencing this now it's so much more prolonged and sustainable, you know, because it's like, holy, you know, the journey of it. And it's like all I want to do. And, you know, I don't have to really convince myself at this point to go to the gym and all these things. And I saw someone post a video, actually, it was exactly how I was feeling. And they explained it like this. So like, you know, getting to a certain point, I bought, and it's funny because he said the McLaren, he's like, I bought the McLaren, and people will tell you not to do that, not to invest in those things. But the things that this McLaren, like the people that it has put me around, and the fact of those days that maybe you don't want to go to the gym, and for sure people can look at some of the stuff that I do now and be like, oh, he just absolutely loves to go. That is the furthest thing from the truth. There's so many times throughout every single week where I'm just like I'm not trying to. There is no now, you know, I like, okay, how can I do all the work that I need to do and just freaking get out there, you know?
Because you're excited to drive the car.
Yeah, because I'm so excited to drive the car, and the people and the conversations that it puts you around. By the way, sorry about the bumpiness. I apparently chose the wrong road, but this house looks freaking sick.
Just to jump in there real quick, because we were talking about this last night. So both you and I have read a book called Atomic Habits, and I highly recommend the Atomic Habits book for anyone that feels like they want to make some subtle shifts in their life to improve their life. But one of the main takeaways that I got from the book was like we as humans have this whole reward system. So you were talking about this last night when you and I were talking, where it was like when you first started going to the gym, you really liked having like a certain type of protein shake that was like had a bunch of fruit in it and tasted really good, or whatever the flavoring was.
Yeah.
And then on the days where you really didn't want to go to the gym, when you were establishing those like new neural pathways, like new habits, you're like, but I'm going to get the shake after the gym. So I think now you've been going to the gym consistently for however long. It's awesome to have a new kind of reward system. You know, it's like, all right, I get all my stuff done, I get all this work done, you know, because we are still putting in a lot of work. You know, as we continue to just kind of like have a bigger impact and more awareness around the project and more people are listening to the music, it's almost like, okay, now it's time to kind of like double down on everything that we've been doing that's been working. So in the morning when you're, you know, doing your edits or making music or filming, you know that you're about to get to go drive, you know, this unbelievable car on the way to the gym in paradise.
For sure.
Much,
Yeah,
you know?
and what's the cool thing is the gym that we're going to now. So yes, at this point in my journey, I've consistently had such an awesome routine based off of, you know, just going nonstop even when I didn't want to. And now it kind of just very natural. But there's this new gym down in like South Miami. That's definitely way further. It's unnecessary for me to really drive to, but it has a cold plunge, and that's
I forgot about that until right now.
Yeah, so that's where we're going.
It's my first time going.
Okay, yeah. So I went here, and it's brand new. I was like, oh my gosh, and that's and I'll condone all day. I know, because I have conversations, and I love my parents to death, but just so I can be as transparent as possible, as well as people that I know. It's like, it's funny, I had this conversation with someone else recently, like, I don't know if I would like pay all that for a gym membership. And I totally could understand why they would think that, you know, as far as like paying, but you're like investing in yourself. It's all perspective, right? We talk about perspective shifts, and the way you look at things actually matters so much.
And the feeling around it kind of being sort of almost the most powerful. You know, it's like, well, how do you feel at the gym? How do you feel in this car? How do you feel in the house that you live? And then that being some type of vibration or frequency that if you can find different ways to continue to operate around that more of that seems to be coming to both of us, kind of speaking of our life experience and kind of tapping into this wave and doing the spiritual work over the past however many years. It's like, okay, like the gym might cost however much, but what's the feeling that you have in it? And then also, you know, as far as this car, you know, there's a lot of people that I think buy these cars for all different sorts of motives. You know, some people just like want to be flashy or flex, or like you mentioned, like you pull up different places or you go to different meets. You know, it just kind of connects you with different people that are on, you know, that have like certain types of cars. But I know a big part of it, as we were talking through the process of, you know, test driving the cars and then test driving this one and then the decision making around it, because it's a big financial investment, it's a big decision. It's like, but how do you feel in it, you know? And then that's why getting in the Huracan, like neither of us were like, oh, just like didn't really feel it as much, you know, which I think was interesting for me to witness, because that was always like your desktop wallpaper, you know, and then you actually kind of do all this work and then you sit in the Huracan and you're just like, you know, which is such like a
because it's
hard
always
thing to
different than you could possibly imagine. It's always, you never know exactly how it's going to happen and when it's going to happen, and when it happens, it's not always what you anticipated exactly how it was going to happen, but it's always better than you could possibly imagine. You know, it's always that way. And coming from that faith and that perspective and that mind shift is enormous. And I do want to say, going off of what you were just talking about, for sure, these are conversations that we could have now and we could speak on, right? But I also want there to be an understanding for people that for sure maybe aren't in the financial place or in the place in general in life to be like, well, I can't feel like that because the house that I live in is X. I can't feel like that because I drive a Honda Civic, or whatever the case may be. You know, nothing bad about Honda Civics, they're great cars. But they're like, I can't. But that's the point. It's the same exact thing that I just explained earlier, so I'm not just making it up. What does it feel like when I'm walking to my car? You know, I'm walking to my car. The same thing. I feel like even when you had the Volkswagen, it's the same thing. What am I driving? What does it feel like?
Yeah.
You know, and coming from that place of I will co-sign, and I've said consistently over and over, I will co-sign. Fake it till you make it. What does it feel like? Pretend, and watch. The universe puts those things and puts you in alignment of all of that.
And there can be some element for some people there of you may have to use your imagination a little bit, as far as, and one thing as far as like a practical practice that I was mentioning that I do each and every morning, and shout out to my buddy Jacob Ellis, and if anybody's looking to dive into some of his work, it's at jacobs.journey on Instagram. I do his daily practice every morning. But a big part of his daily practice is thinking of 3 things that you're grateful for. So they can be things that have already happened in your life. They can be like a time that you're on vacation. They can be like a moment that you were spending with your family. It can be like winning an award or accomplishing something. How do you feel when those types of situations happen? And then can you use your imagination in some ways in the morning or whenever it is to feel like that experience is re-happening in that moment. And then what are the feelings that are coming along? You're like, yes, like I'm up on the podium, I just won whatever it was, or I'm with my parents and I'm having such an amazing time with them, out here having dinner. This is my first time being in this car, by the way. That's like the first time I feel like he's like gotten on it. But that feeling right there, what was that feeling? And then like, when, maybe it's a dreary day or it's in the morning or I wake up, I'm in a bad mood or I just had a fight with, someone or something isn't going well in business, can I trick myself into that feeling? So using your imagination, I think just kind of going back to just kind of give some people some little practical tools on how they might be able to kind of start to do some of those processes
For
themselves.
sure, 100%. And a big thing that helped me was watching videos. Of other people that already had it. And what's so great, we live in the best time and age. I say this every freaking day. Like, if someone out there has exactly what you want, if not something close to it. And what's awesome is there's so many people that actually film it.
True, yeah.
You just go online, type in the thing, whatever the specific thing. I mean, big thing that I do too as well, like next moves is the house.
Yeah, you watch a lot of house videos.
Oh yeah, like what?
Like on the daily.
Yeah, what does it, I just love watching them. I'm so interested in, and as well as I'm really manifesting, like what do I want it to look like? So every time that I go and I do my meditation, I know specifically what the kitchen looks like. And what I do really and build in my head is I put like the kitchen, and then I'll take the backyard of a different video, and I'll take the front yard of a different video, And then in my head, as I'm picturing the whole property, I put it all together in my meditation, which therefore is the manifestation of that thing. And I love doing it. And it really is, we talk about like gifts or treats or rewards. It really is so much. I enjoy doing the process of this now so much that it makes me want to meditate about it, and manifest it. So yeah, it's definitely a unique experience, but I think needs to happen if you want it to work.
One thing that we've been talking about more so recently, because we've been doing, so for anyone that doesn't know, we have a community that we started. It's free to join. You can go to heartfam.com, HEART fam.com. And within the community, Abel and I are doing a weekly podcast. So it's exclusive for members that are in the community. There's also guided meditations that Abel's narrated. There's also a discussion group where you can come in and the why behind why we're doing it is to have a space outside of social media where we're able to share what has really helped us, what matters to us, and then go a level deeper with conversations like this, where you and I get like pretty into like deep, conversations. And if this is up on YouTube right now, I'll be excited for us to be sharing kind of more stuff maybe out there, outside of the Heart Fam as well, just to kind of spread awareness around our experience, kind of give people some strength, some hope. But one thing that we've been talking about lately is a lot of the work that gets put in to accomplish what we're accomplishing. And I was just listening to an interview of Lewis, how do you say his last name?
Lewis House.
And Alex Hermosi. So for anyone that doesn't know either of those guys, there's a podcast up right now. And Alex Hermosi is someone who I look up to a lot in the business world, as from a digital marketing perspective, and just his ability to just his experience and the impact that he's had. Right, and there was just a cop pulling up behind us with their lights on, so I was like a little confused for a second. But so anyway, in this conversation, Lewis and Alex were talking a lot about this, and Alex was talking about how much he loves to work. you know, even though he doesn't have to work, you know, he's, you know, financially free by pretty much, you know, anyone's standards or his own as he describes it. You know, he's someone that's made, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever in the digital marketing space. Is, you know, I think what he's really known for, sort of on his come up, was selling courses and systems to gym owners to help them gain membership. So for anyone that's in the digital marketing space or the entrepreneurial space that hasn't heard of Alex Hormozi, I've learned a lot from just the ways that he thinks, the books he's written, and the systems that he's developed. And he has a whole free course that he gives away on his website for free. But the point that we were talking about after this conversation was Alex talking about how he continues to put in the work and continues to put in the work, and a lot of the ups and downs that come along on this entrepreneurial journey. So I think it might be worth tapping into that a little bit in this conversation, is like your work ethic, like your routine, because I think a lot of people have, and it's almost natural, right? It's kind of like human instinct to like judge different people when you're coming in, they're living a certain lifestyle, they're talking about certain things. It's always like, oh, well, it's easy for you to say because you're already like on this level or whatever.
See, I never looked at things like that. I think that's where my perspective and why I believe, which was super helpful for me, which I didn't grow up with parents that were like that. I grew up with parents, I'm so grateful that they were super supportive, and no matter whatever I wanted to do, you know, they're like, yeah, go after your dreams. That I'm forever grateful for. But
shout out to your parents.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you haven't seen the videos with them on TikTok and all the social medias, check it out. They're amazing. I love them. But it was never I never had that perspective when I watched people that I either genuinely wanted to be like or to live a similar lifestyle. I never said, well, that's of course because you had that. You know, like you could say that now. I never was like that. It was just very obvious to me that they did something that like got them to where they're at, and I was just curious of the in between.
Yeah.
You know? Okay.
Which I think is like a testament to your mindset of what's allowed you to accomplish certain, you know, levels of where you're at now. But I think there is a lot of people that have all different sorts of mindsets, and it's not uncommon for people to have that mindset that is a bit more judgmental or like, oh, you're speaking from a place. So I did
used to feel like that during snowboarding. I remember writing on my posters like, why not me? I used to have snowboard posters in my room, and I used to write, why not me? Like I would see all these people like, they can't, and maybe someone else can relate to this. You see people that either have things or already achieved the things that you're going after right now or really want to do in general. And you're like, oh my God, like I could do that. You know, they have somewhat of that judgment. I used to feel the same way with snowboarding, and that's why everything that ever happened in my snowboarding career never happened. Because I had that mentality the whole time, and it was very self-pity and boo-hoo me, and I understand the actuality of it, and especially the injury. There's like some real sadness and deep whatever there, but that's like the excuse that held me back from moving forward. Was just like, oh, but these things really happened to me, and I've dealt with that with music too, you know. So I was like, well, these people did this, and I would have had this cut on this song and this record, but that held me back. And I think that's the hard thing that a lot of people don't want to come to terms with, because it is hard, and we've had those experiences, and it can be very traumatic, and it could be a lot of PTSD built around whatever that experience is, right? I would never put out there that I know exactly what it feels like to have anyone's experience, but we all go through something, right? You could get punched in the arm, and your experience could be different than mine, you know? It's just, make it super simple. That's just what it is. You could be like, no, that didn't even hurt. And I'd be like, it didn't hurt. It really hurt.
Yeah,
right?
It's true. And that's what I'm saying. Like, so many people have different perspectives. And I think a big part of this and what we're talking about, and I think it's something that you've touched on some, I think, and I don't know how much, like in YouTube or different places, or like where you're watching this, or if you're seeing us for the first time right now, you know, because I feel like it's always good to kind of add a little bit of context just for the people that might not have the whole story, because Abel and I have been working together, you know, for a few years, and there's tons of content out there online, both of stuff that we've shot cinematically to promote his music, and then more so recently, in addition to that, we've been focused a lot on these types of conversations, talking about life, motivation, manifestation, law of attraction, different things that have helped us achieve, you know, lives of our dreams. You know, we're both full-time creatives, and thanks to everyone that supports us in the project, are able to wake up and do what we love every day. you know? And then just for a little context of my background, you know, before Abel and I like really dove all in and we started working together full time a few years ago, I worked in corporate America for 10 years. You know, so you talk about putting in the 10,000 hours, I was working 40, 50, 60 hours a week in corporate America after going to college. So I worked at the financial firm Vanguard for 10 years and I was a senior IT project manager there, and I loved how technology had the ability to help solve business problems and work on complicated stuff. And, you know, that was what I was really, really passionate about. But also during that whole time, I had a camera, right? Because for those that also don't know, Abel and I grew up together. So we've known each other, you know, since we were young. And when Abel first started DJing, geez, like, it's been a little while now. Yeah. But when he first started DJing, I grabbed a camera to go to those events to like take pictures of it. And that was the beginning of me kind of, you know, scratching this creative itch. But I grew up, you know, with little cameras and filming. Like I always just had fun filming. So kind of bring things full circle. When COVID happened and LA shut down for the most part, Abel came back to the Philadelphia area where him and I both grew up. And we grabbed a new camera, a more modern one, and we started working closely together and have, you know, together built everything that's out here now on YouTube and music videos and short form content and our podcast and the community. So just to give a little bit more context to my background, but then if you want to give a little more context to your background, you know, grew up traveling and snowboarding competitively, so that's what you were relating, kind of this like energy and frequency to, you know, your life and whatever it is that you might be doing. So I think it was good that you shared that you can relate to that perspective of like that why not me, and sort of like the things that are just human emotions that can, you know, pop up for us, you know, and they pop up for me still, you know, and it's like rewiring old pathways, right? It's like different ways of me like used to think that way, or why can't I be accepted, or why, whatever it might be. But I think what's been so beautiful, like kind of doing this work, is the process of like the more that I'm able to have more compassion for myself and less judgment, and then see myself for like the good man that I am, the better that I feel about myself. And I don't need sort of that external validation or acceptance that I maybe even just like a couple of years ago was kind of yearning for, to be accepted by other people. So I think that's been a big shift, but it's almost like the deeper I go in my own practice and my own work, the better that I feel and the higher vibration that I'm able to like operate underneath or within and maintain. And not all days are good. You know, some days are hard and I have to like bust out the tools in my tool belt a little bit harder, and maybe do a little bit more meditation, or talk to someone about what's going on if I can't get it out of my head, or do, you know, some additional breath work, or go out into nature, or go for a run, or go to the gym, or whatever it might be, go for a drive to clear my mind. So I always just think it's important to, and I threw out a lot of different stuff there, but I feel like adding in a little bit of a context, and then also just kind of like where we're at now, and yeah, man, but like where we're at right now is like we're in Miami in a 720S getting ready to go to a brand new gym that I'm so grateful, man. Like I really am. That's awesome. So grateful.
And yeah, and to end this video, I just want to say, like, moving forward, I do want to be putting out a lot of these. Charles and I also have a separate podcast. If you don't know about it and you're watching this from YouTube, or maybe you see this chop that we're talking about right now from a different app. We started a community Chaz talked about earlier called heartfam.com, and we do have a podcast that we do every single week of discussions like this, and going really way in depth in a lot of those topics that we really touched on, because that's what's tricky. We could touch on these topics in a full conversation, which is great, but sometimes you need to like get down to the nitty gritty, especially if you have something you could relate to with that specific topic.
Yeah, but having that space where you can elaborate and go a little bit deeper on some of these topics, where we're in a world where it's just like, how can I try to explain everything in 60 to 90 seconds?
And obviously there's 2 released songs. If you're here from music, there's 2 released songs every single month that we put in there. We do monthly giveaways. Last month we were...
Oh my gosh, the giveaways are so much fun.
And last month you guys have been seriously so incredible. It's like, how could we give back like more? And really the idea was, we'll do monthly giveaways, someone wins every single month, but last month we had picked 3 people, so there's that. There's exclusive merch drops, tons of BTS that definitely aren't going to get posted anywhere else.
Dude, some of that BTS is
and
so
you could see if
ridiculous.
you're even just curious, you know, just trying to plug this because it's genuinely been something we're super passionate about and we've seen it help a lot of people. But if you're just curious, there's also a free code there to join. Just go to heartfam.com. Everything will be listed, and there's also a video of me talking about it better in a more concise way. If you're just interested, but it's heartfam.com. And yeah, we're about to pull up to the gym now. So yeah, stoked, cool.
Yeah, this was dope. Yeah, hopefully this turned out well. Like that, we just have a GoPro rigged up with these microphones for the first time. Hopefully these are connected and on. We've never done this before.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys got some value, you know, subscribe and jump into the community.
Definitely subscribe.
It's free. And then for anyone that doesn't know that Abel makes music.
I make music.
Yeah, he does. He does
That's
make
my
music,
primary thing.
which you can listen wherever you listen to music. You know, so wherever you normally listen to music, or even here on YouTube.
Or if you don't know where to listen to music, just go to Google.
Go to Google
and type in Abel Hart, and wherever you choose to now listen to music, it will be up there. So.
And YouTube. You're on YouTube.
You're on
you
YouTube.
Watch it here.
Yeah, just go to there should be a thing. I don't know which side, but it should be there.
Oh, and also we haven't really found a way to effectively promote the music videos that we've made either. So there's like a handful of music videos here on the channel that we've made over the past couple years, and I'm like itching to do another one soon, just because they're so creative and fun. But yeah, if you're new here, welcome to the channel, and thanks for subscribing.
I love you. Bye.